Quítate el manto, no te oscurezcas, no es más profundo un pozo sin luz. Y déjame verte cuando me pierda, orienta mi alma en la inmensidad.
Of playing in Spanish, playing it's jugar, and music playing we call it like tocar música. It's two different words. So, but I could say that it's this jugar, this play as a child. Mm-hmm. It was part of what I keep with this relation with imagination, of being free to create stories and express somehow also, of course.
Welcome to another episode of Uncovering Music Ideas, where we explore the journeys, inspirations, and creative voices of musicians. I'm Mernoush, and today I'm joined by Manu Rosales, a composer, producer, musician, and teacher from Argentina, whose work blends traditions, collaboration, and personal storytelling. Hola Manuel, bienvenido.
Thank you, I'm very happy to be here.
Let's dive into your story. When you look back, where do you feel your musical journey truly began?
I think it started when I was very, very little. Even I don't have memories, but I've seen videos that are, for me, important when I saw them for first time. Playing a guitar, like putting my guitar over me like this, and like kind of hitting the strings. And I couldn't even speak properly Spanish. And I was, well, the song was in English, but at that point I couldn't even speak any language. And I was singing this Beatles song that my dad used to, but he likes a lot the Beatles. So I have this memory. So I think it was already in this, since I was born, the music was around.
Nice. It's really amazing how music was already part of your life so early, almost before you were aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in this kind of environment is really powerful and inspiring. I'd love to hear more about sounds and influences that surrounded you as a child.
From my dad, it came a lot of the musical influence, of course, from the side of my mom too. But yeah, at that point there was a lot of different music, from different parts of the world. Mm-hmm. No? So there was these Beatles. My dad was a fan of the Beatles all his life, so it was there. And I mention it again because in my early years, that was an heritage for sure.
Okay.
But also there was folk music from Argentina, like we call it folklore, from not only from Argentina, from Latin America, I would say, for sure. So a lot of songwriters, many important figures from Latin America music. Then Queen, like bands like iconic bands were present, and a lot of Brazilian music also, which is, when we mention this Latin American music, sometimes it appears more in Spanish, and all this culture from Brazil, we really feel it like separated. So that's why I mention it also, no? Yeah, so all this was part.
It seems like that you have a deep connection with music. At what point did you realize that music wouldn't be only part of your life, but that you wanted to pursue it seriously as your path and profession?
I feel like with music, I started playing at 14 music, not like professionally, of course, and there was not a clear moment. Of course, I finished my studies of high school at the age of 17, and immediately I started to study music. And I think at that point, being aware or not about it, it was already happening. So there was not a gap between my studies of high school studies and the music studies. It was immediate. So I think at that point I started already becoming more professional in music, studying more seriously. So I would say at that age of 17, 18, and of course it was growing. Mm-hmm. So in those years it was becoming more and more part of my daily routine.
Speaking of music, songwriting and composition seem to be at the heart of your work. What inspires you usually to create?
I think part of these influences I have from my background, a lot were related with songs, almost all. I can't even remember hearing music that it was not based on songs, and that I was deciding to, when I start listening by myself. So I can realize about that, and I start composing at the same time that I was learning how to play music. Of course, beyond if it's good or bad, but I was doing it. So it was my relation with music. Sometimes I feel like it's even a continuity of childhood, of playing in Spanish. Playing, it's jugar, and music playing, we call it like tocar música. It's two different words. So, but I could say that it's this jugar, this play as a child. It was part of what I keep with this relation with imagination, of being free to create stories and express somehow also, of course. So yes, I think that's how songwriting appears. It's the format of the song was always present and always captured me.
Yes.
And yes, so that's part of it. And also I can say the poetry that it's part of songs. I really enjoyed writing, especially in those moments when I was starting music, ending being a teenager, this moment of transition into being an adult and teenager. So for me, the poetry was very important.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like music was fundamental and poetry was very important too. And then you have the songs.
Yes, they have deep relation with each other.
Yeah.
It's really amazing to hear how you approach your ideas and describe your creative process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every journey has its turning points. Was there an experience or challenge that changed you how connected with music?
Yeah, many for sure. I can think of one important moment of my life as a musician. I was already studying music in the institution where I studied in Argentina, and also I was studying with particular teachers too, singing mainly because I was studying guitar in one way, singing in the other. And after 3 years, I stopped my studies and I went on a travel to Brazil with some friends and musicians too. And one of those was my, and still is one of my best friends, and who I played a lot. I learned to play music with him. So we went and we played a lot of music and learned a lot from Brazilian music. And yeah, it was a travel where I played many hours every day. So I think this was a turning point in many senses, because I learned a lot about other traditions. The fact of being traveling was very inspiring in general, so that was part of also inspiring creations and composing new music. So I think that was for sure one important point. One of the first ones, I would say.
Okay. It's really powerful that how challenges can shape both us and our music. You have traveled and collaborated with many musicians and explored different musical tradition. I want to challenge you a bit and ask you, if you had to choose one, which one do you think has had the biggest impact on your music?
It's a challenging question, of course. So it is, for sure. Because it's also difficult to divide what is a tradition. I mean, we can zoom in and zoom out traditions, not in general, because, for example, I came from the city of Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, and there coexist so many traditions, but are not originated there, most of them. And some are by the mix of many other traditions, so you get a kind of a new tradition out of the others. So when I think and feel an answer to you, it's difficult, and I would say the first impulse was the folk music from Argentina. But when I look at my own music, I don't know if that it's a truth, if this is what it's reflecting more my music. For sure it's there. For sure it's the Brazilian, and again, Brazil, that it's a country, it's a huge country, bigger than Europe, the country. So I can't say that Brazilian tradition, but some music from Brazil, some music from Argentina, and some music from the Andes Mountains. So I can't reply this question really, like it's not really clear.
I understand.
But I would guess that it's for sure some South American influences, some particular traditions from South America.
Okay, so meaningful to hear how these experiences influenced your music. Yeah, thank you. Let's take this moment to enjoy some of your music. What would you like to perform for us?
I will play a song that's called Jacurutú, and I think it's a good example about what we just talked about, the influences of different traditions, because it's a song where it appears part of the Brazilian influence, it appears part of the Andean music. Of course, I can see it. I don't know if someone hearing from outside, but I know that it's part of it. So yes, this song Jacurutú, it's a song I composed a long time ago. Jacurutú I discovered after naming the song that it's also in Guarani language a bird, but it's not the origin of the word. So it comes from a book that is called Dune, that now becomes quite well known because of a movie, but it's an old book. I read it long before the movie appeared, and it's a beautiful book, so I will not spoil this, but it's a fundamental part of the story. So that's the song I will play.
Okay, what a beautiful story. Let's listen to it.
Déjame verte cuando amanezca, mis ojos ya quieren ver el sol. Yo estaré yendo solo en silencio, me orientaré en esta ciudad. Se abrió la noche, incendié el templo, pero mi máscara sigue ahí. Indestructible libro del tiempo, desnudaré antes de morir. Quítate el manto, no te oscurezcas, no es más profundo un pozo sin luz. Y déjame verte cuando me pierda, orienta mi alma en la inmensidad. piel ya no es la mía. Jacurutú, Jacurutú. Mi piel ya no es la tuya. Dereiré, dereiré, yeah, yeah. Mi piel ya no es la misma. Jacurutú, Jacurutú.
What a beautiful performance, full of feeling and depth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
How did you end up coming here, and what inspired you to choose the Sibelius Academy's Global Music Program?
I ended up coming because I was at some point doing my Italian citizenship in Italy, in the same place, and because of a grandfather I have. And that was during the COVID. So after that, I moved back to Argentina. And I was in touch with Nemat, that is a teacher in the program, and she recommended me this master. So we have some talks, and it stayed on my mind, this possibility. And after having also the citizenship, it was much more easy for me to get this possibility. It's not the same if you are in part of the European Union or not, and that was very helpful for me. So then I started thinking more seriously about this opportunity. I stayed in Argentina for 2 years and a half, more or less, and then I applied. And there were many reasons that I was interested in this program. For sure, it was the program itself, like this particular program that offers this place where you meet with many musicians from many traditions. That, of course, at that point, I didn't knew completely where I was going. I can say it now after 2 years and a half, almost finishing. Now I can really see what was waiting for me. So that was, at that point, my interest. Get to collaborate with musicians, get to know. I was always inspired by other traditions. And as I mentioned about South American traditions, but also I was hearing music from different places of the world. Yes, and that was part of this travel. And of course, when I arrived here in Finland, now I can see there was much more things waiting. But I would like to say that, especially, and I think it's almost always like this, the most important is the people you get to know.
Exactly.
And the musicians I get to know during these years here were amazing musicians and amazing human beings. And for me, this combination, it's almost needed to enjoy being with musicians.
Right.
La mañana se va, te desarma y andas cubriendo tu luz con vergüenza. Desde tu rama soñas nos volar. A mí las alas y a vos las palabras. Y aún así llegué a escucharte decir: cuando la imagen se resuma a un monte estéril, átomos tuyos surgirán para encontrarme como una estatua frente al humo a iluminar.
beautiful. It seems that your path to Finland adds another layer to your journey. When you think about the next phase of your journey, what dreams or hopes would you like to explore?
To explore hopes, it's an interesting idea also. If I think it now, it's interesting, and I don't know completely if I know what it means, but I can try to imagine, and I like it.
Yeah.
I like the idea, because I could say that we are living difficult times in some sense. At least in Argentina, and I don't know if there were easy times ever, but for sure this is part of my life concerns right now. So if I think about my future, it's also related with this. And I feel like some people can relate to this. So when I think about me as an artist and what is coming next, it's at some point related with that. And my hopes will be to keep on working with music, and I think that will happen. So it's a hope, and I think it's going to be a reality. But it will depend on time. Time will show where this will happen. But for now, hopefully, it's going back to Argentina at some point to keep on working with the things I'm doing, keep on collaborating with new musicians. I've been working a lot even though that I was collaborating with people in Finland, of course, I was also working a lot in my solo project, my own songs, keep composing, and I'm looking forward to create a stable band and hopefully not be only the main character, let's say, of this, to play other people's compositions too, to have like a common project with other artists, and keep collaborating with film music that has been a part of my career also, and part of my studies. I get more deep into it in Sibelius too.
Okay.
That was kind of a little step outside the global music in the music and technology department. So that's also something that I will hope it will keep appearing.
It sounds like an inspiring path ahead for you. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we finish, we have a little tradition on this podcast, and we invite our guests to share a poem in their own language, which is meaningful to them. What would you like to share with us?
I will share a poem by a friend, a very close friend from Argentina, called Fermín Vilela, and the poem name is Pilgrim in English, Peregrino would be in Spanish. Peregrino. Millones de velas ardiendo y ni una sola plegaria que haya sido respondida. Ningún Dios al que poder culpar por su indiferencia. Sin embargo, el fuego, la esmeralda. Creía estar moviendo montañas, pero solo estaba poniendo una palabra detrás de la otra. Tierra y un cuaderno deshojado entre las manos. Creía estar acariciando la luna, pero solo estaba lamiendo una piedra bajo el manto azul de la noche, tierra y un tintero aguado entre los dedos. Cuando baja la noche, puedo ver esas pequeñas llamas dentro de las casas. Sin darme cuenta, y sin ni siquiera poder creer en ellas, llevo esas millones de velas ardiendo adentro mío. Fermín Vilela. So this poem of my friend Fermín, I choose it because it has this image of candles in the beginning, like when you put a candle because you are wishing for something to happen. So it's relating this image of the people putting candles and waiting for, and there is not this response they are waiting for. Somehow it's connected with, for me, this particular moment we are living, or at least how it's affecting to me this moment we are living. And I was feeling that it's difficult for me as an artist, that something related with this feeling I'm having now, it's not part of my artist activity. That's why I choose this poem. And it's not only about this candle and not reply, it's also about how we still put in the candle. It's not like, okay, then we should stop. And there are many. It's a long poem, so there have many parts. There is other moments when it's describing somehow this artist role that I thought I was moving mountains and making a big change. I'm changing the words. No, that's why it's a poem. It's not. It loses its magic if I put it in words, but it has this. I thought I was, but in the end, being more humble with we can reach with art, but not stopping doing it because of that. So it's surfing these kind of meanings.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And it has this image of the candles are inside me still, like describing this person looking inside the houses. The night falls, and he can see all these candles inside the houses. And even though all these candles are inside me burning. So that's the last image of the poem.
Okay, thank you for bringing us such a meaningful poem.
You're welcome.
Manuel, muchas gracias for sharing your music and your story with us. It's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you. Gracias to you.
And to all of you listening, thank you for joining us for another episode of Uncovering Music Ideas. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the podcast and share it with others who are passionate about music. Until next time, stay inspired and keep listening.
Today